Hey guys, welcome back to this week's Footy Friday. This week we are going to talk about what's happened in the Champions League, what's happened in the Premier League, look forward to next week's games, and anything else that we've seen pop up over the last few days, 3 weeks. Let's get into it. So obviously, the first game's on Tuesdays. Tuesday was Chelsea Atletico.
Yeah, pretty straightforward game. I mean, I expected something else. I think I predicted that Atletico Madrid were going to win, due to the performances they've been doing in the league and where they are in the league compared to that of Chelsea. But they can rely on Giroud to step up in the bigger games and score when Werner isn't.
Yeah, well, the other thing as well with Chelsea was the fact that because of how Atletico were played, they were, Atletico play very defensive, and they're always they're drilled in a shape, so they were able to move around Atletico pretty well. You saw them dominating for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. I feel like Chelsea do that quite a lot, though. It feels like they don't necessarily perform badly, but just don't have much of an end result.
Yeah, because there's been quite a few games where they haven't really, they haven't quite got to that next step to kill the game off.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they're missing.
Like you touched on it, Giroud as well. It was a good goal.
Yeah, but I mean, it's never a kick. His back is literally to goal. What's he supposed to do? It would have been harder to. I mean, it's a good finish considering where he put the ball. He didn't put it straight at the keeper, but he would have had to try that because there literally wasn't anything else he could do. By the time he would have taken the touch, the defenders would have been around him.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, he's the type of player, or he's the one player that you would think you would put your money on scoring a goal like that.
Yeah, he's probably, if you'd have had Abraham or Werner, they probably wouldn't have even tried that. So it probably benefits them in that team for someone, to score a goal like that. Because, like I said, I can't really think of anyone else in that side that probably would have even tried doing that.
Yeah, no. Moving on to the other game, Lazio versus Bayern Munich.
I mean, we predicted this as well.
Yeah.
We were quick to say that Barcelona were going to dominate, and that's exactly what they did.
Bayern Munich.
That's what I said, sort of. The Barcelona of Germany.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So, and that with Musiala.
Yeah, him.
That one.
Who has... well, you saw on Instagram and Twitter, and everyone was first to straight to jump on the bandwagon. He's the youngest English goal scorer since such and such a person. And then literally 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes after the game, he goes and...
Turns out he's German.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised because it would be hard. I mean, I don't know many young German midfielders at the minute, but I mean, he's already been playing for the Bayern.
He's more of a striker, though, isn't he?
Well, I literally go off like positionings based off FIFA, and he's a cam on there. So
well, yeah, he can't. But my guess is he would be being 17. He'll be able to. He will have time to mould into a striker if they need it. Well, need to. Well, think about it. Robert Lewandowski's 32 years old.
Mm.
I know he's not
as well, haven't.
Pardon?
That's Zerkzee. He's a striker.
Oh, Joshua Zerkzee, yeah. Zerkzee, or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of young talent at Bayern.
Yeah, a lot of... That's why I've been impressed with them over the last couple of years. You've seen players like Zerkzee, Musiala.
Who's the one that's on loan in Marseille? Kazance? Is that what he's called?
I don't remember. I'm not 100% sure. But I know because there was a period where they were relying on players like Robin and...
Ribéry and...
Ribéry, I just completely forgot what he was called. Players like them, like over-reliance on them to play every game. And now they seem willing, obviously under new management, seem willing to change it, which is good because for many years you didn't see that. Especially, and as well with like strikers like Mario Gomez, Luca Toni, aging, not necessarily old players, but aging players closer as well. I know he went on to still play for a while, but Yeah, it's good to see, and I'm happy that he got the goal. And it's probably more beneficial for him to join the German side when he's already got
Familiarity.
familiarity with the way that German players play, and especially in that league, he's going to understand how they play, especially when they play in the national side compared to English players, which he's got very little knowledge of, other than like youth football.
Yeah, but not only that, he's actually not English. Like his mother's I think his mother's German, and his dad's Nigerian, and the only way you can play for England is because he was at Chelsea's youth academy. He was in the UK for more than he was in England for more than 5 years.
Well, I hate that. Just winds me up. It should be I just think it should be where you're born, or where you've lived. The majority of your life.
Yeah.
Because players are just nowadays you see people like Ravel Morrison. He's pledged allegiance to Jamaica despite playing for England.
Yeah,
it doesn't even make sense. It's like what? I know you just want to play football. You want to play international football.
Wan-Bissaka didn't he?
Yeah, he was at Dominican Republic.
At DRC, I think, isn't it? Yeah, Dominican
Republic. Yeah,
not democratic.
Sorry. Yeah, that
Democratic Republic, Democratic. Yeah, the DRC, because he was English.
But I mean, I get it when you think, "Oh yeah, I want to play for England," and then you have to change because you're not playing. But it just seems like you're sort of not copping out. What's the word? You're sort of just relying on it.
I know what you mean.
I don't think people should have the option, really, because there isn't. Why do you have an option? Like, they do it based on he could have played for these, but he plays for these. It's like, oh, his great-grandma was
it's
Jamaican.
Januzaj was the classic example.
Well, yeah, he had about 5 countries.
Because he could play for England, he could play for Spain, he could play for Albania, I think it was, and he could play for somewhere else.
Yeah,
I think it was Germany.
Probably.
I don't even know which one he picked because I don't think he played that much internationally.
Oh, he's Belgian.
Oh, Belgium, that was it, not Germany. Sorry.
I mean, you say that, but he scored against England in the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people score against England in a World Cup. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, in the third round one.
Yeah, because didn't he score in the group stage?
I know he scored against England.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, it was a bit. And like you said, it shouldn't come down to a case of, your great grandma from 3 generations ago was born in Ireland, so you can play for Ireland, but you were born and all you know is England. Yeah,
you've got. You can make. Do you want to play for the England team? Yeah, I do. Yeah, but Jack Grealish is playing. Oh, okay. Do you want to play for Ireland? Yeah, I'll play for Ireland instead then. So,
yeah. That's at times it does feel like that.
It's just because there's better players than them in that position. So rather than work hard to do it, they're just like, I'll just play international football for a team that I know I'm going to play every game for.
Yeah.
So what's the point of that? Where's your passion to play for the team you want to represent? Clearly you want to represent them because you've played youth level football for them.
Yeah.
It's just laziness, especially from play. Like, I looked at, I think there was like a team, like the Jamaican national team. There was like Bobby De Cordova-Reid, him. There
Leon
was some
Bailey.
guy that used to, him. Oh yeah, but I understand that.
Oh yeah, but Leon Bailey's always been Jamaican.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was just a handful of other players that I was just looking at. I was thinking, I mean, I can't imagine that you're Jamaican. Like, you've probably been to Jamaica a handful of times. You don't even live in Jamaica. You probably weren't even born in Jamaica because your grandma's auntie's dog lived in Jamaica for 2.5 months.
Yeah.
You're pledging allegiance to the Jamaican flag.
Yeah.
Shout out to all my Jamaican brethren.
It's a touchy subject, obviously, because it's it's nationality at the end of the day, isn't it? But I like.
Yeah, but where does the line draw? Like, oh no, I shouldn't even go there.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
I was going to bring in gender then. And
don't. That's going to get us cancelled. We're going to get cancelled straight away with that.
No, I won't say anything about that. But what I was going to say is, you can identify as really whatever you feel like. But where does that go? Like, where does that line cross? Like, stop. Surely you can identify as something.
But then the whole question is, if you actually look, the other one is, if you look at the French team for the World Cup, 90%,
every one of them is practically African, aren't they?
90% of them are from African descent.
Yeah.
So we're looking at it thinking, the French team is really is the best team. But if you actually deep it and think about it, it's the African nations that are actually bringing out the
better players.
But then again, it's the French that have developed them. Yeah,
exactly. That's true. I suppose that's true. Like that, like Massi Arslan. I suppose like his German team developed him and gave him that opportunity, which he might not have had. And I mean, he probably almost definitely wouldn't have had it at Chelsea.
Oh no, because if you look at flipping Lucas Piazon or whatever he's called, he's only just been sold now.
Yeah, he's what, 29?
Yeah,
he's been there for like 12 years.
Yeah, I think he was up for a testimonial because of how long he'd been at Chelsea.
Oh wow, Jesus Christ!
So he wouldn't be able to get his chance there. So I can understand
testimonial.
Yeah,
players come in to play for him. I was like, who's that? I've never even seen him before.
Yeah,
he's been at the club for 10 years, has he? Jesus.
So and then obviously, then moving on to the Wednesday's games, we had Atalanta versus Real Madrid. Atalanta didn't really show up what they were capable of, but then it didn't help with the red card within the first 20 minutes, which we've both said off before recording. We both agree that it is not a red card.
No.
It's a yellow card at most.
Yeah, and you'd even argue. Well, yeah, I'd say it's a yellow card. You can't really argue with anything else. He's outside the box. He's put a leg in. It's not a malicious foul.
He's not even the last. He's not the last man.
Exactly. There's a covering player about to come across. Mendy's taken it realistically to the byline, which isn't near the goal. It would make a very hard shot for him. The keeper is also coming off his line to come and collect it. So it's just odd that it's a red card. But I mean, he's made that decision. Atlanta weren't too. I mean, if they had that player, who knows? They might have gone on to win. But I mean, Madrid scoring one goal.
Yeah, because Real Madrid haven't really performed to amazing standards over the past 2 seasons, maybe.
Not really. I'm going to look up like the league and stuff.
Well, obviously Real is second. And I think it's like 3 points or something like that.
3 points, but Atletico have got a game in hand.
Yeah. So it's
they're catching back up.
But when you've got a game in hand, you're almost forcing their hand. But it's like, like I said, Real just over the past few seasons, it just hasn't really, gelled.
I just think, well, I'm looking at the stats, and Atalanta had 2 shots in the entire game, whereas Real Madrid had 19. So you can just see that although the scoreline says one thing, the game just says completely the other. And I'm just looking at the team. I mean, that team there, I don't know how many players were playing for them last season, or was it the season before when they went really far?
Obviously, you had Courtois, who's basically come in.
I mean, within Atalanta team.
Oh, sorry. Zapata.
But the 2 players that I remember from that team was Gomez, who's gone to Sevilla, and Ilicic. I don't know if Ilicic was on the bench. Yeah, Ilicic was on the bench.
Zapata and Muriel, I think, were there when they went really, really far.
Okay. Well, then I don't really understand it then, unless it is pretty much Gomez, who I think he was captain, wasn't
he? Yeah.
He was captain, and now he's gone to Sevilla, and I think he's No, he's not. That's Jesus Navas.
But he's still an influential player, even if he's not
definitely
the captain.
Yeah, 100%.
Because if you're a captain at one club and then go to a different club, you still maintain that mentality.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to have a look at his stats because it was last season they got far, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
But when you actually look at another one, if you look at the Real Madrid side, I know Real Madrid have been hit a bit recently by injuries. There's been quite a few injuries, you know. You got Odriozola, Carvajal, Hazard, Eder Militao, Valverde, Benzema, Marcelo, Rodrigo, and Ramos all out with injuries.
Yeah.
So you know that is a big hole. However, a team like Real Madrid should have the depth to plug those holes.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, they're playing Lucas Vasquez at right back, who's a right winger.
Yeah,
Really?
That's odd. To be fair, I'm just looking at the Gomez's stats for 2020. So in the Serie A, he scored. So in all competitions, let me just see this. Last season, that can't be right. It says he scored 8 goals last season, but he assisted 18. So what's that? 26 goal contributions.
Yeah.
26 goal contributions last season. That's huge.
That's pretty. Yeah. When you take someone out like that, you know that is that's a big hole.
And then even before they sold him this season, he had 6 goal contributions in the league before they even got rid of him this season. And then since being at Sevilla, he's had 1 goal contribution in like 6 games.
Yeah, but he'll be playing different, won't he? So
yeah, definitely. But it's weird. It's odd to want to sell him when you see the success that you can have with him.
Yeah.
And especially that he's 33. Like, he's not going to be at Sevilla forever. He might be at Sevilla for 2 years. Why would you not try and keep him, seeing that he's one of your most influential players? Why would you risk it? Why would you not try and keep him?
Unless they were trying to move in a different direction and go for more youthful players.
Why not do that when he retires, or do that for the last 2 years? Why just get rid of it and completely risk it?
Yeah, in the next 2 years, yeah. I don't know. To be honest,
City did with David Villa. Like last season, Foden was like 2 years ago, Foden was playing the odd game. Yeah. Then it was last season he was getting more involved, and now this season he's first team. Why not try that? Why not do something like that?
Speaking of, you've perfectly segued into it. Speaking of City, 2-0 against Borussia Mönchengladbach. For a City team that's been on dominating in the Premier League, it wasn't really a dominating performance.
But I don't feel like City really do that in the Champions League. That's where I don't know how they can always, well, not always, but we feel like they can do it so regularly in the Premier League, but struggle so hard in the Champions League. It could just be due to, not being so regular about the way that the teams play and things like that. But I mean, you say it wasn't dominant, but they had 3 times more shots, 4 more times shots on target, like twice the possession, but 250 more passes.
But you're saying they're having 3 times as many shots. That's because Mönchengladbach had 3. They had 9. But if you go back, let's have a look at the stats for the last Premier League game, which was against Arsenal. Let's not Arsenal, because Arsenal was a little bit of a
Everton.
Yeah. So when they're Everton, they had 16 shots, 14 chances created. Out of these 16 shots, 7 were on target, 4 were off target.
What are you trying to prove?
Even though they had more, they had more shots, but still, it just didn't seem like a typical City performance. That we used to in the Prem.
Yeah, but name a performance in the Champions League where you think they've replicated what they've done in the Champions League and the Premier League. I can't think of any. They tend to always seem off the mark, hence why they don't go very far.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I don't know why. I can't. That's what I mean. It's like
is just weird how it's like it's not necessarily two different City teams. It has that kind of feeling though.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's odd. Yeah, I get that. It's effectively the same team, but they just have different ways of playing, and they just can't dominate a team so much like they do in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And I was going to say it's odd as well because with Pep, he's like practically the master of the Champions League. Like, how many times has he won it? Like 4?
They won it twice with. Did he win it twice with Barcelona? Yeah, he did. Because he won it
twice. Or did he just win it once with Bayern?
No,
Did he even win it with Bayern?
I don't even think. No, he didn't. No, he hasn't won it since he's.
Oh, fair enough.
Since he won with Barcelona, and I think it was both times. It was when they played Thingy. Did he? I know he's beat United.
What, the final?
Yeah, because I think that was the 2011 or 2010, one of them two.
He's won it in 2009 and 2011.
Yeah, so 2000. Yeah, both. I think both of them were against United.
Says has since failed to get beyond the last 4 stage.
Yeah, because like I said, I think if I remember rightly, 2009, because that was after Moscow where United won it. Then United got to. I think that was when United got to the final, and I think that was that when they had the white and blue away kit. It went, or was that 2011 when it went? It was.
Oh yeah.
It was either way. One of them's been at Wembley, and then the other.
I think that was 2011.
Yeah, and the other one was when Messi did that when he rose above flipping Rio Ferdinand of all people and lost his boot.
I think that was 2000. Yeah, I think that one was 2009, and 2011 one was at Wembley.
Yeah, so out the 2 times he's won it, both of them against United.
Well, yeah, considering I was saying he's pretty much a master of the Champions League, he really isn't. Then, is he? I think
with the Pep with the Champions League, I think it comes down to the personnel he had. Obviously, Messi and Xavi, Iniesta, just to name a few of the players that were at that Barcelona squad.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, he's not playing with idiots, is he? He's playing with proven teams that even lesser managers have gotten like more out of.
Well, he said in his post-match conference, he was like, the one guy was like, "Oh, how have you managed to be so dominant? Because they won 19 games in a row now. They won 19 games in a row." So he was like, "Oh, how have you become so dominant?" And he actually said, "Because we're able to buy players."
Yeah, I saw that, but that's sort of I didn't understand that because it's effectively saying the only reason we're winning is because we can buy such good players. It doesn't matter about the management and tactics and things like that. Mm. But you say they're dominant. I mean, last season they were, but they didn't win the league. They're never dominant in the Champions League. Like,
I don't think they were dominant. I don't think they were dominant last. Well, they were dominant towards the end of the season, but it was almost.
No, I said. No, they were good. Like any other season, they probably would have won it. It's just that Liverpool had such a good run of form.
Yeah.
Again, it's just odd that they can do so well in the Premier League. Say if that was, I don't know, say that was the FA Cup and they'd played, who's like an equivalent? Like even Everton, you could probably, like Everton versus Gladbach, you'd probably say that was quite an even matchup. Like you said, the stats are just so much different and they're just able to play so much better against them. It's odd. Yeah, I don't get it really, how they can be so different despite practically having the same side play.
Yeah, it was just that's all it is more than anything. It just seems almost like I said, it almost seems like it's two different teams.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So it was just that's all it was, It was because we've seen City be, obviously recently within the past few months they've been pretty well considering. When you were looking at them, when you were looking at the start of the season, probably 5-10 games in, maybe you were looking at them thinking, "Oh, maybe they're not title challengers yet."
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, again, like that, I didn't understand that, and I don't understand how they've suddenly just, come in to do really well. obviously it's with the emergence of players finding form like Stones and the signing of Diaz and João Cancelo playing well at left back, Gundogan like sort of almost not replacing, but playing well in the absence of Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
But then you say that, but Gabriel Jesus hasn't looked particularly good. Sterling this season, although scoring, doesn't Foden and Gundogan seem to carry that team.
Yeah, that's one thing that they are lacking is a striker, like a out and out striker. Like Jesus he can play as striker, but I don't see him as a striker. I see him more of like a centre forward cam kind of person, which is what I think which is how he's playing now.
It seems like yeah, but I'm trying to think because aren't they like quite in with a big shout of getting Erling Haaland? That being linked quite heavily.
But then most people are getting linked with Haaland.
I know, but there's more validity with it because his dad used to play for him.
Yeah, and then also you've got I've heard. Obviously, this is I don't know exactly how true this is, because it's just rumours. But they were looking at Lukaku.
I've heard that. I don't think he'd be right for that team.
And I think they were looking at Martinez as well. Lautaro Martinez.
I think he'd do better there, just because I think they need someone as close to Aguero as they possibly could, and I don't think you could probably find many players out there that, not necessarily the style of play, but necessarily how he is in his build. He could be the next Aguero.
Yeah, but I don't see either of them leaving Milan at the moment.
I definitely don't see Lukaku going, and I don't see why he'd come back to the Premier League because he is doing so well in Italy, and it's only been a year and a half since he left.
And I don't think if he was to come back to the Premier League, I don't think it'd be for City.
Who do you think it'd be for?
I think it'd be back to United.
I don't want him back.
No, but I don't think like I said, I don't think he'll leave Milan anytime soon because.
What about West Ham?
The only reason why I think he'd City is because he's still friends with Rashford and he's still friends with a lot of the United players, and he actually still supports United. He does.
Yeah.
He doesn't necessarily put it out there, but you can tell.
I couldn't see him because it's odd again because you look at their three recognised. I know Liam Delap, hasn't played a hell of a lot, but he's played a couple of games. Under Jesus, their next recognised striker is probably Liam Delap.
Yeah,
but it's odd to see because usually at a club, you'll have the main guy, a guy very close to him, and then someone a little bit off, but not too far off. But it's odd to see Aguero, Jesus, Delap. There's such a massive gap between those three.
There is, and there's also more. One of the players out on loan, Morgan Rogers. He's another attacker. He looks to be. He's on loan at Lincoln, I believe. He looks to be really good.
Okay.
I think he's 17, 18.
Yeah, 18 years old. I see it now. Yeah, it says he's a forward. He's currently at Lincoln City. 3 goals this season in 9 games.
But I know the stats don't. The stats are they're average. But if you watch some of them, some of the games, I've seen some of the highlights on like Soccer Special and things like that. Yeah. He actually does good stuff off the ball as well. He is doing other stuff, which is kind of what Aguero was doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what made him like one of the best. I'm just looking now just to see what sort of players they've got up front. Liam Delap, Sergio Aguero, Gabriel Jesus. Yeah, I mean, there are other youth players, but I don't necessarily know. It is just Gabriel Jesus, Sergio Aguero, and Liam Delap because there are other forwards of Torres, Sterling, and Mahrez. So they are their 3 only.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the stats now, and Gabriel Jesus this season has got 7 goal contributions in 17 games.
Which is not what you want from a striker.
Exactly. Well, when you compare that to Sterling, who's got 14 goal contributions, he's doubling his goal contributions, and he's a winger.
Yeah.
It just, wait there, let me just have a look. Foden, 9 goal contributions. De Bruyne, 13. I mean, the majority of their goals. Look, Ilkay Gundogan, 12 goal contributions. It's at the moment they're forward, other than Sterling, like Mahrez, 9 goal contributions. Torres, who costs like what, 50 million or whatever it was, 4 goal contributions. Their forward line just isn't quite doing it, and I think that's because there was a period where they were just so set. Aguero, Sterling, and it was ill.
Bernardo Silva, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bernardo Silva. That was not last season, season before, wasn't it? Because Bernardo Silva's been there for a little while now.
Yeah.
I think that was 2 years ago. Those were the front three. But now because...
Ferran Torres, 21 million.
Oh, okay. Not that bad then. But I think it's because they're chopping and changing so much. Like, Mahrez was never a bad signing. People thought he might flop because City seemed like such a big step up from Leicester. Yeah. But, I mean, I think, especially last season and this season, he has definitely lived up to it. And he could I mean, that's why he's put Ferran Torres out of the team effectively. Ferran Torres doesn't really play that often, does he?
No.
Well, I mean, Mahrez had 5 more appearances done in this season.
But I think also with Ferran Torres, because he's 21, 20.
Yeah,
so
he's still
20.
young.
So he is still one looking to the future, because I think Mahrez is 20, 28, something like that.
Yeah, he's around that.
So I think they're looking at it thinking, right, let's plan a bit, into the future.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Because he's 30, yeah, because it was his birthday over the weekend, wasn't it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's just, I mean, they're doing well.
So 30 years old. So I would presume that they're gonna try and bring him in. And they brought in another 18-year-old. By the looks of it, I don't know when this was. Let me just have a quick look. Well, this was on deadline day. Phillip Stovanovich. Okay. He's a right midfielder, apparently, from Serbia.
Okay.
He hasn't really played that many games.
Right.
He hasn't played any games, actually. Apart from the Europa League qualifiers.
Right, okay.
For Partizan Beograd.
Nice.
But that's it. That's all he's played.
Yeah. Well, investing in youngsters is never a bad thing.
No. But yeah. Well, moving from City in the Champions League to City in the Premier League, they got West Ham at the weekend on the early kick-off.
Are we predicting the scores?
Yeah. I think it'll be a City win, but I think it won't be as. I don't know. It all depends on how West Ham approach it. Whether they approach it to try and get not necessarily the most out of it, but to get something out of it.
Well, I think coming off of that game against Tottenham, I think they'll come back. I just think they'll struggle to be able to fight I say solid teams like Tottenham aren't amazing this season, but I think they'll struggle to put everything into 2 games over the space of a couple of weeks. So I think 3-0 to City. I think they won't struggle. I think City will win it quite comfortably.
I think 2-0.
Okay.
Just because, like you said, I think City at the moment, especially with the run they're on, 19 wins consecutive. I think it's only a matter of time before. Well, not necessarily a matter of time, but they'll just keep going. And I don't think even though West Ham have been in good form recently, I just don't think they're the team to stop City on their foot on the run.
No, I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't agree. I would agree.
Yeah, I know what you meant. Leeds versus Villa. That's at 5:30 on Saturday.
Yeah.
That could. To be honest, yeah, it all depends on how Leeds set up.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think Leeds will win just because I think Villa in defence aren't amazing. Their keeper's had a few errors recently, and going forward, they are very wasteful, especially Ollie Watkins. They've had to rely on Bertrand Traore recently, and I don't know if Jack Grealish is still out, but bringing in El Ghazi or Trezeguet, it just doesn't quite fill that void. So, and Leeds just always seem to, just go for it and go for it. And if Villa make their mistakes and can't capitalise when Leeds do, I just think Leeds will just keep going for it until the final whistle, which is something that Villa definitely don't do.
Yeah, I completely agree. Again, like I said, it all depends on how they set up Leeds, because obviously if they set up like they've been doing, like they did against Southampton,
Yeah.
They will pick off.
Mm.
But then if they end up going like they did against Arsenal,
Yeah,
they'll just look a bit. It'll just look a bit. They'll end up on the back foot straight away, and it'll be like, oh. And I think it'll just capitulate them.
I think Leeds will win. Leeds will win 2-1.
Yeah, I was thinking 2-1 as well. I think Villa will get a goal from like a set piece or something, with like Tyrone Mings.
Yeah, I think Villa are quite, they get a goal fairly regularly, but I think Leeds just seem to score quite a lot. I know they're not the best in defence, but I think they'll be able to score more than one, and I don't think Villa will.
Yeah, I think that too. Moving on to Sunday's games, the big games. Well, we'll just talk about main games. Really, there's no point talking about games that involve we don't really bother about, like West Brom Brighton, for example.
Yep.
I'm firing shots there. So moving on to Sunday's games, one of the early kickoffs is Leicester versus Arsenal.
Yeah. Leicester look ridiculous recently. James Maddison, I know he came off the other day, so it may be debating whether he will play. But, although he's good, he's definitely not the main man of that team at the moment. It's definitely Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes isn't carrying the team because there are other contributions, but he is definitely doing the job that I think people expected Maddison to do.
Yeah.
I think Maddison was expected, because of last season, to carry the team a little bit more.
Barnes has almost flown under the radar because everyone expected so much of Maddison.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. People didn't expect anything to come of Harvey Barnes and expect, I don't know, handful of maybe 8 or 9 goal contributions, 10 goal contributions in the season. But, he seems to be scoring or assisting every week. Whereas James Maddison, although good more centrally, whereas Harvey Barnes is more effective on the wing, he just doesn't seem as influential and more noticeable in the game. Whereas Harvey Barnes, even off the ball, they were highlighting it, I think, against Villa when they were playing Villa. And against El Mohammadi, he just was running rings around him. I know that might have been a different story against Matty Cash, but, you play with what you've got in front of you, and he was just destroying El Mohammadi.
Yeah. And I just think that Leicester will have I know they've got European contributions, but so do Arsenal. I'm just looking now. Arsenal just beaten Benfica 3-2. They were 2-1 down.
Should probably have a look at United, shouldn't
They were 2-1 down. So, and Saka being when we talked about him last week, come up with 2 assists to provide for Aubameyang. Like I said, the young players carrying the team again.
Yeah, it seems to be that way. Saka, I think you'd see a massive difference if he was to leave that team or get injured. Other than him, I can't see really any player in that team that creates as many chances as him. And if, say, the days he doesn't perform, it's hard to see Arsenal doing well, because players like Aubameyang rely on his crosses, rely on his pace, rely on his passing. And when that doesn't happen, they lack the goals. So I think realistically, Leicester will probably win 2-0. I think they've got 2 goals in them, and I think Arsenal will struggle against the defence.
I was going to say 2-0.
With presumably what's going to be Johnny Evans and Soyuncu. I think it's going to be too hard, and especially with Kasper Schmeichel in goal, it's going to be hard for Aubameyang, Lacazette, Nketiah, Pepe to really do anything. So I'd be very surprised, but I think
It depends on, obviously, because it depends if they can one person they need to the two people they actually need to focus their attention on Leicester would be Saka and I think Tierney.
But the problem is that they're very much the left, and who plays on the left wing for Leicester? Harvey Barnes. So who's he got to go up against? Hector Bellerin and Pepe. Pepe's not going to defend. And Hector Bellerin goes up a hell of a lot. So if he gets caught on the counter-attack, he's going to struggle. So, I mean, who they've got right back at the moment? They've got... Who have Leicester got right back?
Because it was James. It was Justin.
And on the right, who was it? Right mid and...
He played... was it?
Iheanacho?
No, matches.
So I think,
Let's have a look at the Villa game.
Because as a right winger, you're not necessarily trying to shut down the left back, but you're just trying to keep him busy.
Pereira. They were playing Pereira at right mid.
I mean, he's a tricky player. He's got a lot of experience, I think.
Plus with Pereira being a natural right back, he will get back and defend. Yeah,
but is Pereira going to play then?
Probably,
okay. Yeah,
because he played against Villa. I don't know what they're playing against.
Did you say Pereira or Perez? You said Pereira, didn't you?
Pereira.
I just was envisioning Perez in my head.
No, Pereira.
Yeah, fair enough. But so if you look on the left, you've got who's the left back?
Jesus. I've literally just had a look and I've completely forgot.
I know they got Fuchs, but he don't play that often, does he?
No. Come on. Right, against Villa, it was Luke Thomas.
Oh, okay. So even if you look on the left and the right, Luke Thomas played really well. So you've got Luke Thomas, you've got Harvey Barnes, you've got Iosi Perez if he played, and you've got Castagna or Pereira. I mean, they're not exactly weaknesses. It's going to be hard for Arsenal to capitalise on the wingers. And then when you move centrally, you've got Ndidi, you've got Johnny Evans, you've got Soyuncu, you've got Mendy if he plays, you've got Tielemans. They're going to struggle.
At the moment, against Slavia Prague, they're playing a 4-2-3-1. Obviously, Schmeichel in net. You got Armate on the right, Evans and Soyuncu in the middle, Luke Thomas at left back, Hamza Chowdhury and Wilfred Ndidi in this two midfield, Chendi's under Tielemans and Albrighton as the three attacking midfielders, and Vardy up front.
But the only reason that Amate is playing is presumably to rest the right backs.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
Hence why Chowdhury's probably playing as well.
Yeah. Because I think that'll be that's one of the like you said, that's the reason. Because because they'll be wanting to focus, even though the Europa League at the moment, Europa League isn't a priority at the moment for him until he starts to get a little bit more serious. Because at the moment, it's not really, because it's like round of 32 or something like that now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're not really that necessarily that bothered. Once they start getting a bit further in, I think that's when they'll start to take it a bit more seriously. But they'll start putting out stronger sides.
Mm-hmm.
But then that's what all of them do.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's no different for anyone else.
So looking at to be honest with you, probably the most important game of the weekend. Do you know what that is?
Yep, Everton Southampton.
Oh, definitely that one. No, it's when he's pulling your leg. It is Chelsea versus United.
Pulling your leg. Yeah. The Blues versus the Reds.
Well, yeah. For me, I think it's going to be a close one because of Tuchel. Because even though he's been there, I think he's had 5 games now, maybe something like that.
Around that, yeah.
So what he's had 5 games to actually think about the team. He's starting to put his stamp on the team. He's playing with a 3 at the back at the moment. I think it's 3-4-3 or something. I think it is,
Right.
or it might be a 3-5-2. Either way, he's putting his stamp on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. For me, it's whether or not it's the right stamp.
I think they'll be very defensive against United, but I think United going forward are just too strong at the moment. I think there was a time where United were very... The thing with United at the moment is where they're very weak is the centre-backs. But then again, Chelsea don't have that dominance going forward at the moment. So I don't think United would necessarily be that worried about it. I think United, like I said, United going forward, especially with Fernandes, Rashford, Cavani if he starts, Greenwood if he plays, Martial. I think there's just too much going forward with that to not score at least 2 goals. And I would struggle to see where the 2 goals from Chelsea would come other than the midfield, but then their chances would be lackluster. So I think United will probably win it 2-0 or 2-1, I think.
I would have said probably about the same. Obviously, because like the same reasons you said, it's like United have got a lot going forward, but not a lot behind. Whereas Chelsea have not necessarily got a lot in defence, but they're a little bit more. They're a little bit more solid.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're not really have much going forward at the moment.
No.
So
although they've got the depth going forward, there's not really a player that's really scoring or assisting a lot of goals.
Yeah, it's a shared amount really at the moment.
Yeah, but saying that, you'd say that probably the person that's most on form in their forward position is probably Tammy Abraham.
Yeah.
And he's probably the least likely. You would have thought like Werner and Giroud and Pulisic.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think it'll be like a 2-0 United, something like that. Maybe 2-1.
Yeah.
Getting like Giroud getting a goal if he's playing, obviously.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I can see that happen.
One player I want to pick out from United is Martial. He's not. I didn't realise how bad. Not necessarily how bad, but his actual contribution to the team this season.
Okay.
20 games. He's got 4 goals and 3 assists.
What place? Where are you looking?
I'm just looking at Premier League.
Oh, I was looking on Transfer Market. I don't know which ones.
Oh no, I'm on an app called FootMob. But it's Premier League this season. 20 matches. He's scored 4 goals and 3 assists.
It says on Transfer Market 4 goals, 5 assists. I know it's not much better, but well, around that, say between 7 and 9 goal contribution.
Yeah. For 20 games in the Premier League.
I know.
And it's like, for me, it doesn't seem like he's a striker yet. He was the one who wanted to play at striker.
Yeah, exactly. When it was between him and Rashford, really, he got picked and he's been playing there.
And then Rashford's been sort of found out on the left.
Well, yeah, he's been quite quiet as well.
But this is the similar thing. This is a similar issue to City. Is United are missing an out-and-out striker. I know they've got Cavani, but if you think about Cavani, he's not gonna be at United for for the next 5 years.
But I don't think it's much of a surprise, to be honest, about Martial this season, because he's only had one really good season at United.
Yeah.
And that was last season. He had 24 goal contributions in 32 games.
Yeah.
Other than that, his best was his first season, which was 15 goal contributions. So if you go from 24 to 15 and then to 13, and then realistically, he's been there at United now for 6 years, and this is probably his third or fourth best season, and the season's not even over. So if you say he doubles that by the end of the season, so say he gets, I don't know, between 12 and, well, say 14 and 18 goal contributions, he that would be his second best tally for United.
Well, he's not
But
done.
that's not necessarily saying, oh, you can't judge him based off that because he should be doing better than that anyway. But since he's been at United, he's just never really looked. I don't know. There's just something about him that just lacks. Whereas Rashford, he has that really high ceiling. Martial's is sort of. I think that this sort of level for Martial is his ceiling.
Yeah.
I can't really see him going much further. Like we were talking about last week with like players like Harry Kane and Son, they have a pretty wide range of clubs. I could only really see maybe a Madrid, maybe a PSG, maybe a Juventus, but
they would have to. Well, they have the money for him. It's just they wouldn't need plenty of. There's plenty of other options out there.
Exactly, that wouldn't be
to fill that hole.
Because Martial would be probably a risk. I'd say the one place he'd probably do really well is going back to France. But then if he went there, where would he go? Because PSG probably don't even need him. And if PSG didn't need him, you'd say maybe Monaco, just because that's where he came from.
Mm.
But even with them, they got Ben Yedder, they got Volland. I think they've got a young striker that scored the other week against PSG. So you debate that they might not even need him. So where does he go? And the answer is probably he just stays at United. I think people are quick to judge him because it looks, the goal contributions, you think 7 goal contributions in 20 Premier League games isn't a lot, but based off his stats, I mean, 2017-18, he had 14 goal contributions in 30 games.
Yeah.
2016-17, he had 10 goal contributions in 25. He is averaging what he does. He's averaging now. People picked up on him between last season and when he first joined. People were picking up on him, but I mean, this season he's not really finding his form. He's struggling a bit. I don't think it helps with Cavani, doing as well as him, if not better, in fewer games. And it's just sort of making him look very weak. I think if Cavani wasn't in the squad and they hadn't signed him, he wouldn't look. There's nothing to compare him by.
Yeah.
But like, he's getting compared with Cavani because Cavani's doing practically the same thing in half as many games, or whatever. But I mean, you say that he's only 25. I know he should be reaching his peak years, but you wouldn't say he's at his peak yet. And I think you're only suggesting that he's doing poorer this season because he had such a good season last season.
Yeah, because you were as an observer of someone like Anthony Martial at a top club, you would expect him to be doing the numbers he did last season every season, because that's the only way you can cut it at a top club.
But saying that, though, if you compare him to Rashford is very similar. There isn't much difference between him and Rashford. But obviously, Rashford gets so much more praise and so much less criticism because he's, not only just the political things he's doing, so you can't really talk down on him, but he is the poster boy for England. Poster boy for England, poster boy for Manchester United, of English player in United.
Yeah. An academy graduate as well.
Yeah, exactly. He's, Man United love to promote, well, I'm just going to have a look at Marcus Rashford's stats.
I just think that for in my eyes, if you're going to be competing in a top club, trying to get in, first team football, you need to be doing more than 15 goals a season. Maybe not. In and around 15 goals a season, providing maybe 10 assists, something like that, just so you can spread it around. That kind of thing.
Wait. there's very comparable stats between him and Rashford. They've both played the exact same amount of games for Man United. Okay, they've both played 253 games for United. Martial, oh God, now I've got to add this up. Martial has got 100. Well, I'll say he's got 78 goals, 49 assists.
Okay.
And Rashford's got 85 goals, 51 assists. So Rashford is only 9 better off. And I know Rashford's 2 years younger, and he's been in the United team like for fewer years.
Well, he's been in longer, hasn't he?
Martial joined in 2015. Rashford got implemented in 2016.
I thought it was,
so the season after Rashford joined. I know they've played the same amount of games, but in the same amount of games, Martial's only 9 less off. Yet he gets so much criticism. If Martial was English and Rashford was French, it would be completely the other way around.
Yeah, but then I also think if you watch how much, because I think it was on Match of the Day, Alan Shearer pointed out perfectly. When you watch Martial, he's not a striker. He's not making run. Yeah. He's not. When they showed it, there was like 5 players in a circle, and he was one of them, and nobody was in the box. And if he's a striker, he needs to be. Oh, there's too many players there. I need to get in the box.
Yeah.
And there was others where it was like the ball comes into the box. He's not really sprinting after it, and then he only sprints after it when the goalkeeper's going towards it.
Yeah,
when it's already too late. It can't. I'm not saying he doesn't care about United, but that's what it kind of looks like.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to say why. Like with City and Champions League, it is just hard. I don't understand. Why he can't do it consistently. But then I'll go back to Rashford. He hasn't done it consistently.
No.
I mean, yeah.
Because the thing is, you never know what's going on in someone's head. Because someone like Martial might think he's a striker, but when he's on the pitch, he's not. Because he's not. His mentality isn't right. I need to get behind the defense. I need to be in the box. I need to be. He wants to get the ball and make it himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Which isn't really a striker. Because a striker needs to be able to be patient and wait and things like that.
Yeah.
So.
Wait, you said as well that Rashford's been playing as a winger, but for United, in his career, they've played roughly the same amount of times as winger. To be fair.
All right. Well, obviously,
120, Rashford 127.
Obviously, this season and I think last season, obviously, Rashford was more what has been on the left because Greenwood or whoever's been on the right, haven't they?
Yeah.
And then Martial's been through the middle.
But then comparing them, I know at Monaco and whatever, but as centre forward, Martial's had roughly about 90 goal contributions in 160 games. And then Rashford, 55 and 105. So Martial effectively is better as a centre forward.
But I think, the stats do say it. But I also think it's when you see him on the pitch, he doesn't convey that. That's what I think as well.
It's not that he's not running to the box like when Cavani. Cavani makes him look so bad because Cavani is bursting into the box. He's trying to win them headers. He's jumping in front of everything, running in. Whereas Martial,
I think it's just a strike. I think it's just a mentality because obviously Cavani is an out-and-out striker and always has been and always will be. Mm-hmm. Whereas Martial at the moment, not necessarily at the moment, he's a winger who's transitioning into a striker. And he's like, he's not quite, obviously, he's not finished the transition. Because if you think about it, Sterling, when City weren't playing, when Jesus was injured, they were playing Ferran Torres, they were playing Silva, Silva, they were playing Sterling, they were all in that centre striker position. And he still wasn't performing either.
No.
Because like I said, I think it just becomes down to the type of player, the mentality of the player. Because when you're training to be a winger and then you go, we need you to play striker.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a completely different ball game, maybe. So maybe I'm being a bit too harsh on him, but when you do see the highlights and things like that, it does come across as him not really caring.
It is odd though how comparable they are.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. Yeah, there's like certain clips you see that it doesn't show that it doesn't look like he has the passion or desire to really get forward. But it's odd that they're so comparable. The Premier League, Martial's played 165, Rashford 167, Martial 85 goal contributions, Rashford 86. It's so odd that people can say I mean Martial's not living up to his potential, but then you can say that about Rashford. Rashford's not living up to his potential, especially this season. Rashford, I mean, if it wasn't for Bruno Fernandes, Man United would really be struggling going forward.
Yeah.
And it's thankful they made that signing. And it is effectively, I mean, Cavani's had the odd goal. Rashford has been getting goals, and so is.
Well, Cavani would have more goals if he started. But with a player like Cavani, considering his age and things like that, you can't exactly start him every game.
No, that's true. Cavani's had 8 goal contributions in 17 Premier League games this season, which is roughly
almost like Ibrahimovic.
But it's also pretty similar to Martial. Yeah. Martial's had 3 more games and around the same goal contributions. I know, Martial's been there for a lot longer, but again, Rashford has scored more and stuff than this season than Martial, but overall they're very similar. And comparing Cavani, I know their style of play is different, but Martial has been getting goals too. So it's odd to, compare them when they are so similar.
Yeah.
That's enough about United anyway.
Well, that's enough about United, and I think that's enough for the episode, because we have hit the hour. If you in case you don't know, well, I don't think I told you. Declan's other half settles a time of an hour because she's got stuff to do. So I've got a chain
around my neck. Can you see it?
So I've stuck to it to make sure he stays in a good books. So he can keep getting his corned beef sandwiches. But yeah, that'll wrap it up for today. For this week,
for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, normally. So we thought maybe we'll take it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And then maybe next week we'll be back to 2.5 hours. Maybe we'll just make up for it and just talk even more.
Yeah, all day, just do a whole day podcast.
Well, obviously, like we say every week, subscribe, like the video, comment underneath what you'd like to see on the channel, what guests you want us to get on. Oh, before I forget, next week we are getting there is a guest coming on the podcast. He's a Liverpool fan, so leave any questions you want us to ask him underneath in the comments. Like I said, comment what you'd like to see on the channel. Comment any other guests you'd like to get us to get on. Subscribe, leave notifications on so you're always notified of the video. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter. I don't know where else. In person.
Promote that.
Oh, TikTok. Yeah, there we go. I got a TikTok. Why not? And like we said in the very first, we will end up getting for the channel eventually. That's it. That's been us for this week. Anything to add?
No, nothing to add.
That's all right then. We will see you guys next week. Goodbye.
Bye.